All right. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for being with me tonight. Your host, Derek Lane, for the podcast, the Fast Lane Podcast for Success. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. We have a very special guest tonight, Rose Pressey. She is the author of many books and a New York Times bestseller. And she will be here talking a little bit about the creative process, what it's like to write a book, what it's like to be inspiring to others, what it really takes, the dedication that it takes. So definitely excited to have her with us, and I know this is going to be great for you to listen to. And again, special podcast, and can't wait to get started on it. We've connected with Rose via telephone and on an interview. So without further ado, we want to go ahead and connect. Rose, I'm having a little difficulty here hearing you. Rose, talk about the creative process. I think we can hear you now, and maybe what it's like to get started on a novel, if you can, please.
Right. Does the writing experience energize you or exhaust you?
Oh, good question. It can be both. Yeah. Energizing, the characters are exciting, doing exciting things, and you really get wrapped up into it. And it's as if you're right there with them. But then, same if they're down and something's happening to them, it can be exhausting. Or, and even just actually physically writing, it can mentally drain you as well. So I guess both. It kind of has ups and downs, I guess, like life does, the characters, and it can come, and take that out of you.
What type of writing do you call what you write? I mean, what genre is that?
Well, mostly I'm in mystery now, but with paranormal, elements to it. So paranormal mystery, a little bit of a dash of romance, I guess, and some humor, at least attempts at humor.
Right.
Quirkiness, maybe you could say.
What are some of the common traps for a writer?
Oh, as far as not, maybe falling into the mindset, oh, I can't finish this, or something like that. Is that what you mean?
Yeah, just some of those things, like, the pressure to get one finished, or pressure to get one started,
Yeah,
like
definitely that. All of that with getting started, having an idea, like, oh, I need to plot this book now, like, think of something now, do it now. You're, in your mind, you're thinking, I have to have this finished if you have a deadline. And then, of course, there are always things that are going to distract you. Procrastination, the internet, Facebook, all of that. You get trapped and sucked into that. And it's, if the idea isn't there for the book, then you can easily, kind of try to maybe put it away and hope that it comes to you later. But mostly I always say just write, do something, and usually it will come to you if you just...
Yeah, that's what I've always said as far as podcast ideas. I just sometimes will, kind of in the theme of what I do, I get an idea and just start running with it, and it all, seems to roll. So I can see what you're saying there. What is your writing kryptonite?
It's a good question. I think there could be lots of that.
A lot of the things you mentioned above, I guess.
Right, yeah. But, maybe, I don't watch a lot of television, so I wouldn't say anything distracting like that. I don't know. Sometimes you might be able to even say a bad review,
Yeah.
like, oh, that's depressing,
I didn't realize you ever had one, so.
Well, we try not to think about that,
Right.
but sometimes it happens. Unfortunately, not everyone's going to love everything.
Right. Right.
So, I mean, there are books I don't like, and there's nothing wrong with them. That's just not my thing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever considered writing under a pseudonym?
Yes. I'm glad you asked that, because I'm working on something right now that I'm extremely excited about, and it will have to be a different name, because I think people are expecting one thing from me, and this wouldn't be that. So they might be a little shocked if they were to pick it up thinking they were going to get the typical mystery type, and then this was so different, vastly different.
Yeah.
But yeah, I will do that in the near future.
Okay.
But I don't know under what name.
Right.
I haven't decided that yet. So.
Do you have other authors that are friends, and and do they help you, or do you help them?
I do have friends. At least I hope we're friends. I might say, friend? What? No way. But they're kind of spread out over the United States, so it's not like we can hang out and discuss the craft together, but definitely online, I can show them an idea, or, maybe give them some of the book to read and get their opinion and things like that. And then sometimes I have worked with other authors on writing together, like maybe taking their characters and writing my own story from it. So it helps to, run things by other people as well. They can help, maybe spark an idea, or say, no, that's really bad. You shouldn't do that.
How did publishing your first book change your writing process?
Well, at first I was self-published. So, but then later traditionally published. So with traditional publishing, I had an editor who's been working in the business for a long time. And it was fun to see, how her process was with editing, and her pushing, me to make the story as great as it could be, And then also, before that even, I had an agent, and she, tried to do the same by, pushing me to really get the story out there. So, those are just some of the things, I guess.
Yeah. So, are there important magazines for a writer to subscribe to, or any kind of book series or anything like that?
I know there are magazines, but I probably haven't picked up any for a long time. When I first started, I wanted to find out everything I could, about it. But I would definitely recommend finding any books really on the craft of writing for anyone who's just starting out, or if, I still read them now, because, you always learn no matter how long you've been doing this, and you can always improve. And that's what I want to do every day, is try to make it better.
What's your favorite underappreciated novel?
That's a good question. Oh God, there are a lot. I think, really. I mean, there's so many out there. Like, you go into the bookstore and it's so overwhelming. You're like, where do I start? There's so many books, and they're all great. So a lot of them you might not find it. So it might not get the recognition that it maybe deserves. But I don't know, there was one book that I read, and I feel like it kind of pushed me to finally write, like stop saying I'm going to write a book and then actually do it, was Hissy Fit by Mary Kay Andrews. And so I thought it was a fun book, and maybe it was just the time in my life when I read it. It just,
Right. It
was
was
something
timing.
that was uplifting and fun. And I thought, I can write a book too. I want to. I've been meaning to, and I should do that. So.
Now, what type of book was that? What was the, was it more of a spiritual book or a how-to book or?
And, it was a novel and, kind of like women's fiction, humor,
Okay.
a woman who's, kind of, at the altar and ready to marry and finds out her fiance is not that great. So, and then she, has a journey, I guess, to
Okay.
along, after that. So it was fun, and it
Now,
pushed me to finish.
yeah. Now, as a writer, if you had to choose a mascot, what would your mascot be?
Mascot. I don't know. The first thing that came to mind when you asked was a pencil, like, with a happy face on it,
Yeah.
fresh tip, freshly sharpened, and maybe add some arms to him.
Yeah.
Make him wave
And hopefully number one, not number two.
Sure.
Yeah.
So,
Do you base your characters on real people?
I'd say no, but there are probably characteristics or bits and pieces, maybe something someone has said that I will add, definitely that. But one person, like everything about that person that I put I wouldn't put that into a character. So
Right.
I'd say it's probably a mix of
Yeah.
people I've met or just my imagination mixed
Just
together.
an alchemy of different people.
Right.
Okay. All right. Do you view writing as a spiritual practice or just a practical method?
I suppose it could be spiritual, but for me it was always just get the characters out of my head.
Yeah.
And it's fun. So I think that can be therapeutic. It's definitely helped with me with, anxiety and, staying focused. So you could definitely say that would be spiritual in a way,
Right.
I suppose.
How many hours a day would you say you write?
Oh, well, actually writing, everything that goes into it with plotting or editing, if I start at 7 a.m. and then take a break for lunch, and other things, and then get back to work, at least 8 hours, 10 to 12, just depends. So
if you've got a character in a book, do you think about the character before you name it, or do you think about the name and then develop the character?
it's both ways. I've done it both. It just kind of depends on the character, I guess. And sometimes the name will pop up first, and then the character follows closely behind that, develops. But usually I have the character, and then the name comes to me and says, oh, that's a perfect name for her or him. So both ways, I guess.
And if you weren't a writer, what would you be doing?
Oh, I think I've thought about a lot of other things. When I was a child, I think I wanted to be a zookeeper.
Okay.
And that changed. Then later, I wanted to be an actress.